Yeah, good evening, everyone. Mazezoke here. I come to us this evening just to speak to us regarding the events in the last week that has happened in South Africa. I am really, you know, short of words, and it is a sad omen that within the African motherland, when people are supposed to be galvanizing themselves, working towards the unity in Africa with a common purpose of unification. Now, suddenly you see things that is happening in the motherland and you question our ability to think. This is Africa. Blacks are killing fellow blacks. For what? For what, you may ask? I have taken my time to listen to the victims who are fellow Africans and the perpetrators. Now, let me start this way. I watched a Sky News. Sky News is a United Kingdom television network. An interview by a lady. Now, what these guys are saying that they are coming, that these foreigners, that's Nigerians, Ghanaians, Zimbabweans, Malians, or whoever they are, that they come to this South Africa and they take their jobs. And you said, wait a minute, you don't want to work, and these guys are coming in to do the work. And you say, well, they're coming in to take to take your job, and basically that's it. Now, and that lady, that's very instructive. And that lady asked these guys, does it mean myself as a reporter? That means that means I'm a foreigner. You should come after me as well. Now, look at where the mentality, or what Fela Anipola Kuti will call Kolo mentality, that inferiority complex leads someone to say, no, 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 you are not among. Suddenly, because the pigment of the skin, the person in question is no longer a danger to you. The danger to you is your fellow blacks. Now, and I think that is sad. That is sad that you can break into a fellow African shop and loot, take, things and just burn down the shop. These are people who are providing job legally. Again, there was one Nigeria, a car dealer, I think by name Adewale. He said in a video he employs about 10 South African. He, a Nigerian, and his partners are only foreigners in that company. It hurts actually to see him trying to rescue his cars by just, relocating to a different location in order that miscreants wouldn't come to his shop and destroy everything. Now, someone would expect that the South African president would really condemn what has happened in the strongest possible terms. But what did we have from him? Nothing. Very watery speech. We saw on Twitter where he was trying to say something, he had a take. He stopped and he was laughing about his speech in of xenophobia. And when people actually talk about this xenophobia, I say to us, do we really know what xenophobia is? Xenophobia is the fear or the hatred of foreigners. Then I ask, brothers, your fellow black. is no foreigner in the motherland. Your fellow brag is not foreigner in the motherland. A Ghanaian is not a foreigner in Nigeria. A Malian is not a foreigner in Zimbabwe. Come on, people, what is going wrong? Now, do you guys want us to go back to history? Many of us, myself included, I mean, I've already known, during the time of South African apartheid. I lived through it in 1994 when President late Mandela became the president of South Africa. Nigeria, for instance, spent $61 billion fighting for the liberation of South Africa. 61 billion, 61 B dollars. Do you know if Nigeria within the 70s, 80s, kept that money in a savings account or in a bond? Now, as I speak to you, that money is likely to be running into trillions. But for the love of the African and the liberation, or rather the liberation of the motherland, Nigeria, under ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo, what's it called, Murtala Mohammed, Shehu Shagari, Nigeria spent our money. Come to Nigeria. We were spending that money to liberate South Africa. Whereas if you come to Nigeria, people were still living in slums. If not for anything, Nigeria could have used that money to ensure that her citizens are living well. However, like a father, you let some go to bed hungry while you rechannel that money to make sure that these people within the southern hemisphere are liberated. Now, what do we get in return? Xenophobia. What do we get in return? Shots of legal people who are legal are being burnt down. Now, the one that really gets me is when I hear my fellow Africans, especially Nigerians, trying to justify the Dabaric Act. There was a message that went viral, and people I thought they knew better forwarded that to me. And I felt so disappointed. What is the content of that message? The message was trying to say, oh, what happened in South Africa is as a result of community vigilantism. That those shops being burnt had people selling drugs. Therefore, it was the community who were trying to purge the drug sellers, the illegal business, people who had no licenses to operate. Now, and I think, someone, and the person who wrote that, sorry, but that's, to me, that is absolutely crap. Person who wrote that crap said that he lived in South Africa for over 20 years. Then listen, let me lecture you. How can you say that you've lived in South Africa for 20 years, that Africans, Nigerians engage in drug business? Since when has it become the duty of the citizens to go to the street to enforce the laws of South Africa? What is the duties of the police? Now, it is the duty of the citizens. If there is a drug business, if someone is doing an illegal business, if someone is illegal in the context of not having the resident permit, it is your duty as a citizen, if you wish, to report. Now, let the police tasked with the constitutional right to go after those. Therefore, it is absolutely nonsensical for someone to say, well, the reason why they attacked fellow Africans is because they are selling drugs. That is nonsense. Nonsense. Because it makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. How can you say that you came in and you burned people's properties, cars, stabbed them because they sell drugs to your kids? Come on. I'll give you an example. There are areas in Germany, the Turkish, they do stuff that we foreigners knew what they were doing. Now, it is the duty of the police to move in and engage them. If they engage in criminalities, it is the duty of the police to do the needful. Equally, in England, you see some Pakistanis and Indians, they say they groom girls for prostitution or whatever it is. Now, you have not seen the British or the English waking up, going to the Indian off license shop, burning them down. No, what they will do, if they suspect that something illegal is happening here, it is your right and your duty as a citizen of that place to inform the authorities. The worst of all that is happening, one is that the president is not making any tangible sense. Secondly, a deputy police commissioner was heard equally, was seen on camera saying that, you know, the rates which foreigners are coming into into South Africa is alarming. Again, why are they saying this? If you know the economy of South Africa in the hands of foreigners is less than 0.1%. Over 85 over 85% of South African economy is in the hands of less than 600 people. And these are people that do not have the same pigment as the black people. And what have you done about it? What policies have you done to make sure that those that actually hold, that those that hold you down relinquishes something for you? Why wouldn't, you see, this is the beginning because if South Africans refuse to do some jobs, we have, for instance, a lot of Nigerian professors, a lot of Nigerian doctors, and someone said, oh, the doctors are coming. Listen, the doctors are not coming to take uh, truck pushing jobs. These are intellectual jobs that they've come. Are you a doctor? Are you qualified to be one? Then contest with him. But how can you begrudge someone that he drives a nice car? He works. How can you begrudge someone that he owns a shop? Yes, if you spend your time drinking, the Nigerian, the Zimbabwean, the Malawian that comes in, who knows the purpose why he migrated? Who knows the reason why he left his country and to come to yours? So it is actually your own failure that, sorry again, that basically makes you pick crumbs. It is entirely sad and it hurts that in this day and age people are coming together, nations or rather continents are trying to build structures that will bring them closer. What we have is Africans, black Africans, burning, killing, setting their own people on fire. It is sad to watch some of the videos that we've seen that have gone viral in the last couple of days. It is indeed very sad. It is indeed very sad. You know, in conclusion from Mazi here, I think the things that happen in Nigeria is actually equally sad because Nigerians attacked shops, looted, some of these shops within the complex where we have ShopRite. These other shops are owned by Nigerians. So we are hurting our own. Now, the tragedy there is what I entirely blame the government for. These things were happening over the last weekend, getting to Monday, Tuesday, the government did nothing. The government did not address the nation. I said to someone, by Monday, as of Monday this week, the president of Nigeria, President Muhammad Buhari, ought to have addressed Nigeria because you can see the tension in the atmosphere and the pictures and videos start emanating. It is the failure of his government addressing Nigerians, telling them, yes, we are doing X, Y, Z in order to protect your brothers, your siblings in, in South Africa. And because of that failure, on Wednesday, the people can no longer hold. They thought, well, if my government is not doing anything, I can as well do something. Myself, what I've asked people to do, was to boycott DSTV, MTN, whatever has to do ShopRite. Myself, I yanked off my MTN number off my telephone. I don't give a, I don't really give a hook. So, and I used my Airtel. Now, if that is, if private citizens could have done, if they've done things on their own, one thing that was missing was a concerted effort, a direct action from the federal government of Nigeria. If that action was there and if it was timely, by the time the Nigerian government did something, it was already late. It was already late. They said they would send envoys that would take 2 days to get into South Africa. Come on. 2 days. But if you had addressed the nation, if you had taken some steps, I watched the APC chairman, Adams Oshomola. I do not agree with him most times, but for the first time, I agree with him. There are some steps, like temporarily, either taking off the license from MTN or temporarily doing something that can hurt South Africa. Listen, South Africa is a nation of about 56 million. Nigeria is over 200 million. So, the largest economy in Africa. So, there is something we could have done. We are the giant. Well, I think he's a crawling giant. He's no longer a giant with 4 legs or 2 legs. He's a crawling giant, like a baby now. So the giant, and that is what we get. You can imagine in Igbo language they say "Ukuji agụ mgbada agba ụgwọ." When the lion is wounded, that's when the antelope can come to his house for party. He can no longer do anything. And that is that's what we've seen Nigeria for. I know, and people started sending messages saying we miss Abacha. I remember there was a time the British government tried something with then the Nigerian Airways, and Abacha within a couple of hours said British Airways, we revoke your landing rights. You know, fire for fire. One would have, thought, okay, well, South African Airways, South Africa will give you 24 hours. If you're not bringing this under control, we'll stop South African Airways flying into the Nigerian airspace. But we did nothing. It's time. The nation must bite. In conclusion, Mazi, what the government has in the first instance, they failed. Now, what they have to do and where they do not need to fail the citizens once more is the government must, by any means necessary, those that had their properties burnt, those that lost valuables, those that lost lives, the Nigerian government must ensure that they have compensations. That is the minimum. Anything less than that shall be and will be unacceptable to the people. This government must wake up. You must wake up to protect your citizens wherever they are. This is once more Maze Zozge.
This is your favorite station, Njinji Media TV. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram